I've walked into my daughter Madison's house 1,000 times. Birthdays. Holidays. Emergencies. But that morning, something felt wrong the moment my foot crossed the threshold. Not strange. Not suspicious. Wrong. The air inside was still, not quiet, but held, like the walls themselves were waiting for something to explode. I had come with nothing but a cake, decorations, and a mother's half-annoyed, half-loving determination to surprise her for her anniversary dinner. But as soon as I stepped in, the smell hit me. Not perfume. Not food. Not candles. Lies. Lies have a smell. A temperature. A vibration. And the whole house reeked of them. I placed the cake on the counter slowly, listening. The house wasn't empty. I could feel it breathing. A faint thud upstairs. A muffled laugh. Running water. I frowned. Madison had told me, clearly, that her husband Jason was on a work trip. Out of the city. Unreachable. Busy. So why was someone showering upstairs in her house? I took a few steps toward the staircase, and that's when I saw the first clue. A pair of men's shoes, but not the ones Jason usually wore. More expensive. Different size. Wrong style. And next to them, heels I didn't recognize. Tall. Red-bottomed. A size too small to belong to Madison. I didn't panic. I didn't scream. I smiled. Not because I found it funny. But because I had warned Madison years ago. The most dangerous enemies are the ones you sleep next to. I climbed the stairs slowly, silently, the way I used to sneak up on my students who thought they were clever enough to cheat. At the top, I heard voices, low, frantic whispers. A man. A woman. The man was not Jason. The woman was definitely not Madison. I didn't need names. The tone told me everything. These weren't strangers. These were people comfortable enough to be careless. Fearless enough to be reckless. Stupid enough to think no one would catch them. But before I confronted them, something else caught my eye. A folder. Left halfway open on Madison's dresser. Filled with documents she never would have signed without asking me first. Bank transfers. Property listings. A withdrawal slip for nearly her entire savings. And a plane ticket to Barbados with 2 names on it. Neither name belonged to my daughter. My heart didn't break. It sharpened. I picked up the documents one by one, piecing the puzzle together. Jason wasn't cheating behind Madison's back. Jason was planning an exit. A calculated one. One that included transferring Madison's money into an account she didn't own. And the woman upstairs? She wasn't just part of the affair. She was part of the plan. Then I heard something that made my blood freeze. A voice I recognized. Veronica. Madison's closest friend. Trusted. Loved. Practically family. And there she was in the shower with Jason, laughing like she hadn't just gutted my daughter's life from the inside out. I stepped back, controlling my breathing. I wasn't furious. I wasn't hurt. I was focused. Because this wasn't just infidelity. It wasn't even betrayal. It was organized. Calculated. Crafted. And the biggest twist? This wasn't just about Madison. Something deeper was happening. And for the first time, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. A familiar enemy moving in the shadows. A pattern. A signature. This wasn't just cheating. This was a setup. I turned toward the stairs, ready to expose everything. But stopped when my phone buzzed in my pocket. One new message. From an unknown number. It said, "If you're in the house, leave. You're not supposed to be there yet." My breath hitched. Not supposed to be there yet? Who the hell knew I'd arrived? And what exactly were they planning? Because in that moment, standing in my daughter's hallway, with proof of betrayal in my hands, I realized something chilling. Madison wasn't the only target. Someone had been watching me too. The message on my phone held me still. If you're in the house, leave. You're not supposed to be there yet. Yet. That single word carried danger, timing, and intention. Someone wasn't just watching. They had a schedule. A plan. A sequence of events they expected to unfold. And my arrival, unexpected, unscheduled, had broken the rhythm. I wasn't scared. No. I was suddenly, painfully awake. Because this wasn't a normal betrayal. This wasn't two people acting on impulse. Someone else was orchestrating things. Someone organized. Someone close enough to track my movements. And that meant the clock had already started ticking. I looked up the stairs again. Water still running. Soft laughter still leaking into the hallway. Jason and Veronica were oblivious. But the message maker wasn't. I slid my phone into my pocket, gripping it tightly, and moved down the hall, slow. Steps, quiet, deliberate. If someone thought they could choreograph a disaster around my daughter, they had. Another thing coming. But as I walked, something unsettling happened. My phone buzzed again. A second message. Don't confront them alone. My pulse kicked. Not because I was afraid. But because someone out there thought I needed protecting, and that meant one of two things. They feared I'd get hurt. Or they feared I'd ruin their plans too early. I slipped my hand onto the banister and descended the stairs, aware now, acutely. Aware that every step might be seen. When I reached the bottom, I stopped. The living room curtain was slightly open. Just barely. Someone had been watching from outside. My stomach tightened. I glanced outside and spotted a glint of reflected light behind a parked car on the opposite curb. A lens. A camera. Watching the house. Watching me. Oh, hell no, I muttered. I closed the curtains in one swift pull. Whoever it was, whoever thought they could monitor me like an experiment in a glass cage. They were about to learn who they were dealing with. I turned back toward the kitchen. That's when the front door opened. Just a soft click. A slow creak. I froze. Footsteps entered, quiet, practiced, slow. Someone was inside the house. Someone who wasn't Jason. Or Veronica. Or Madison. Someone who didn't knock. I gripped the closest thing I could reach, a metal cake serving knife. The silhouette stepped into view. Tall. Dark coat. A man I didn't recognize. His eyes flicked around the room methodically, like he was checking off a list. He hadn't seen me yet. I could have jumped out and attacked him. I could have screamed. I could have run. But I wanted information more than adrenaline. I stepped sideways and positioned myself behind the pillar near the staircase. The man moved farther in, back turned toward me. He pulled out his phone. He typed something quickly. And my own phone buzzed. My breath hitched. I slid the screen open. One new message. Leave. Now. I peered around the corner. The sender was in my daughter's living room. Sending me warnings. Watching me watch him. And he didn't know I'd seen him yet. I stepped silently, like a shadow, closer behind him. He paused, head lifting. He sensed something. Before he could turn, I stepped out of the shadow. And pressed the metal cake knife against the back of his jacket. He stiffened. Don't move, I said, my voice calm and low. Or I swear I'll carve your intentions out of your ribs. He didn't raise his hands. He didn't flinch. He just said, with terrifying smoothness. You're early. I pressed the knife harder. And you're trespassing. He exhaled slowly. I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to stop something worse. That's not convincing, I said. Who sent you? He hesitated. I can't tell you, he whispered. But if you stay, you'll ruin everything. This house is about to become very dangerous. That word again. Danger. Danger to who? To me? To Madison? To him? I leaned in. Listen carefully, I said. I'm the one who decides what happens in this house. So, unless you want a new hole in your lung, you're going to explain, right now. He swallowed. His jaw tightened. And then he said something that made my skin crawl. Jason isn't your biggest problem. Neither is Veronica. There's someone else. Someone upstairs. My entire body went cold. Upstairs? I said. With them? No, he said. With Madison. She's not alone. I felt the floor drop beneath my feet. Madison was at her office across town. She wasn't supposed to be home. Unless someone had brought her here without me knowing. Or unless she had been dragged. I pulled the knife away and stepped back. He turned slightly, just enough for me to see his eyes. You need to go, he said softly. For her. My heart didn't beat. It detonated. Because if Madison wasn't where she was supposed to be, and if someone was upstairs with her, then Jason and Veronica weren't the ones in danger. My daughter was. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The stranger's words echoed in my skull. She's upstairs. She's not alone. Madison. My daughter. My heart beat outside my body. I stepped back, gripping the cake knife tighter. Explain, I demanded. Now. He shook his head. There's no time. If you want her safe, you need to trust me. Trust? I snapped. You broke into my daughter's home. I didn't break in, he corrected calmly. The door was unlocked. Someone wanted me. Inside, someone who didn't expect you to be here. The message. That mysterious warning. Was he the sender? I didn't know. I didn't care. All I knew was that if Madison was upstairs, I needed to reach her. Now. But before I could move, he grabbed my wrist. Wait. His grip wasn't violent. It was desperate. You can't rush in. Oh. I hissed. Watch me. He stepped in front of me, blocking the stairs. If you go up there without a plan, you'll make noise. They'll hear you. Madison is conscious but restrained. If they think you're coming. I shoved him. Who are they? He hesitated. And that hesitation told me the truth. There wasn't just one person upstairs. There was more than one. Move, I warned, knife pointed directly at his chest. He lifted both hands slowly. I'm on your side. The people upstairs aren't. I pushed past him and rushed up the stairs, heart thundering so hard my vision blurred. Halfway up, he whispered urgently behind me. Don't open the first door on the right. I froze. What did you say? It's a trap. They're expecting Jason or Veronica to walk in first. The hall at the top of the stairs felt like a throat, tight, narrow, closing in. The bathroom door was still shut. Water running. Shadows moving behind the fogged glass. Jason and Veronica. Oblivious. Stupid. Selfish. But not dangerous. Not compared to whoever else was hiding in this house. I moved down the hallway, silent as breath. The second door on the left, the guest room, had a faint light under the crack. Soft. Warm. Someone was inside. Someone waiting. My hands shook, not from fear, but from fury. If they had hurt Madison. If they had touched her. If they had even breathed wrong in her direction. I wouldn't need the police. I'd become the sentence. The stranger had followed me halfway up the stairs. "Stop," he whispered sharply. "Listen to me." I ignored him and placed my ear to the door. Silence. Total silence. That terrified me more than any scream. I turned the knob slowly. Locked. A padlock. On the inside. A chill rolled down my spine. "Why is this locked?" I whispered. The stranger replied from behind me. "To keep them inside. Or to keep someone out." I glared at him. "Who is in there?" He exhaled deeply, defeated. "The man running this operation. The one Jason reports to. The one Veronica answers to. The one who planned the money transfers. The one who told Jason to keep Madison, distracted." My pulse hammered. "You're lying." He met my eyes. "I wish I were." Footsteps suddenly thumped inside the room, slow, deliberate. Then a voice. A man's voice. Smooth. Chilling. Unfamiliar. "Mrs. Walker," he called through the door. "You're early." My blood froze solid. He knew my name. He knew I was here. "Where is my daughter?" I demanded, voice shaking with rage. A small laugh drifted out. Almost amused. "She's safe. For now. But you're disrupting a very delicate timeline. Things were supposed to happen differently today." "I swear to God," I whispered, "if you hurt her." "Oh, I didn't touch her," he interrupted. "She touched something else. Something she shouldn't have seen." Behind me, the stranger flinched. I turned on him. "What did she see?" He shook his head. "It wasn't supposed to be her. Jason was supposed to bring the documents. Downstairs. She walked in at the wrong time." "Wrong time for who?" I snapped. "For all of us," he replied quietly. "Because the moment she saw the folder, the man inside that room made a new decision." My skin crawled. "What decision?" The stranger swallowed hard. "He decided to keep her here." My legs nearly gave out. Madison wasn't kidnapped. She wasn't taken. She wasn't hidden. She was being held. By someone controlling the entire operation. Someone who had been planning this longer than we knew. I stared at the locked door, my breath sharp and ragged. "Open it," I whispered to the man inside. He chuckled again. "I will. When it's time. But if you want your daughter back, Mrs. Walker, you're going to need to follow instructions." I clenched the knife so tightly my hand tingled. "What instructions?" There was a pause. Then he spoke 3 words that made my vision go black around the edges. "Call your husband." I nearly dropped the knife. "My husband is dead," I said in a trembling whisper. The man behind the door replied quietly. "I know." Because the next thing he said shattered everything I believed. He shouldn't be. For a moment, everything inside me stopped. Breath. Thought. Gravity. The man behind the locked door had said the one sentence no living person had the right to speak. He shouldn't be dead. The hallway spun around me. My vision blurred. My hand tightened on the knife until my knuckles turned white. I whispered, "What did you say?" He repeated it, calmly, as if discussing weather. "Your husband's death was premature." Premature. Like a meeting that ended too early. Like a flight that landed before schedule. Not like a heart attack. Not like the random tragedy the doctors told us. I took a step closer to the door, my voice low, dangerous. Who are you? You'll know soon, he replied. But right now, we need to discuss your daughter. Madison. My chest constricted so hard I had to lean against the wall. Where is she? I demanded again. She's in the other room. Alive. Unharmed. A pause. For now. Behind me, the stranger, the one who'd warned me downstairs, tensed. Don't antagonize him, he whispered urgently. He'll use Madison as leverage. I am leverage, the man behind the door corrected. She's the key. And her father was the first door. My blood turned to ice. Why? I whispered. Why involve her? Why involve me? The man's tone changed, softened. Not kind, not gentle, but familiar. Like someone who had practiced speaking to me long before today. Because you have something, he said. Something your husband hid. Something he died for. I blinked. Died for? He knew, the stranger behind me added quietly. Your husband knew what this organization did. He knew their methods. Their targets. Their pressure points. What organization? I snapped. Both men went silent. Which meant the answer was too big. Too dangerous. Too true. The man behind the locked door finally said. Your husband wasn't just a victim of fate. He was a liability. He interfered. My throat tightened. He was a schoolteacher. He was a schoolteacher with access, the man corrected. To people. To information. To banking archives no one else could reach. My breath hitched. My husband had worked part-time assisting with financial literacy programs at a private investment firm. A minor role. A background role. Or, so I thought. I pressed my forehead against the cold wood of the door. Tell me where my daughter is, I whispered. Now. The man sighed. I'll open tea. Door when you're ready. Not before. You must understand the sequence. I don't need your sequence, I growled. I need Madison. She's fine, he repeated again. Her fear is temporary. Her value is permanent. Value. They were talking about my daughter like she was a commodity. And that's all it took for my anger to detonate. I grabbed the doorknob, then froze. It was warm. Not hot. Not burning. Warm. Someone had been touching it from the inside, recently. The stranger beside me noticed. He's close to the door, he whispered. Don't turn the knob. If you open it without his permission, he'll. A muffled thud echoed from inside. Then a choked sound. A woman's sound. Not Madison. Veronica. Veronica was in that room. The man inside sighed dramatically. Don't worry. She wasn't supposed to be in this part of the house. She heard something. She shouldn't have. And Tiffany's loyalty is fluid. Tiffany. Veronica's real name. He knew her real name. What did you do to her? I demanded. Relax, he said. I'm not stupid enough to kill someone before I get what I want. And what, I asked, do you want? He spoke 3 words, slowly, clearly. Your husband's notebook. I went still. Notebook? He didn't mean the recipes. He didn't mean the journals. He didn't mean old lesson plans. He meant the black leather-bound notebook my husband kept locked in his desk drawer, the one he guarded like it was more valuable than breath. I still had it. Hidden. Untouched. Unread. My husband had made me promise never to open it unless something happened to him. Something like this. The stranger behind me inhaled sharply. He knows about the notebook, he whispered. Then he knows everything. I stepped back, knife trembling. You're not getting that notebook, I said. Oh, I will, the man replied. Because Madison's life depends on it. And because your husband made sure you'd protect it with your life. A small pause. He trusted you. Too much. My throat closed. Open the door, I whisper. I will, he said. But you need to bring the notebook here. Tonight. Alone. I'm not leaving my daughter. You will, he said confidently. Because you're a mother. And mothers always sacrifice first. A soft knock echoed from the other end of the hallway. Slow. Gentle. Wrong. The stranger behind me turned pale. Someone else is here, he whispered. Someone he didn't tell us about. The doorknob at the far end of the hall began to turn. And that's when I realized. There weren't just two sides in this fight. There weren't even three. There were multiple players. And I had no idea which one had just arrived. The doorknob at the end of the hallway twisted slowly, too slow to be an accident, too controlled to be panic. The stranger beside me, my unexpected ally, tensed so violently he nearly stepped backward. That isn't him, he whispered. He wouldn't come from that direction. Then who? My grip tightened on the knife. The hall stretched before me like the inside of a throat, narrow, breathless, pulsing. With danger from both ends. Behind me. A man inside a locked room holding Madison hostage. Beside me. A man I still didn't fully trust. In front of me. Someone unknown turning a doorknob with eerie patience. 3 threats. 3 different agendas. And only one of me. The door creaked open. Just an inch. Then another. A sliver of darkness. A shadow shifting behind it. The stranger whispered, "Step back." I didn't move. "Mrs. Walker, please." I said, I hissed, "I'm not stepping back." Because if someone else wanted access to Madison, they would go through me first. The door opened fully. And a figure stepped out. A woman. Tall. Black suit. Gloves. Hair tied into a severe low bun. Expression unreadable. Not Veronica. Not Madison. Someone new. Someone dangerous. She didn't look at me. Not at first. She looked at the locked door, the one that imprisoned Madison. And she frowned. "Of course he's already talking," she muttered. The man inside the locked room spoke, voice smooth and amused. "I was wondering when you'd show up, Elise." "Elise?" The stranger next to me whispered, horrified. "Her. Why is she here?" This just got worse. The woman, Elise, finally turned her eyes toward me. Cold eyes. Flat. Like she was looking at a problem, not a person. "You shouldn't be in this house, Mrs. Walker," she said. "I'm not leaving without my daughter." "I'm aware," Elise replied calmly. "And I do intend to return her to you." The man behind the locked door chuckled. "Don't believe a word she says. Elise returns nothing unless she has a reason." She ignored him. "I'm not here for you," she continued. "I'm here for what your husband left behind." The notebook again. Of course. Everyone wanted the same thing. But no one would say why. "What's in it?" I demanded. "Why does everyone want it? What did my husband know?" Both she and the man behind the locked door spoke at the same time. "Everything." The hallway fell silent. Elise stepped closer. "Your husband," she said, "wasn't the naive bystander you thought he was. He wasn't. Just adjacent to our organization. He was involved." My breath caught. "Involved?" I repeated. "He was a teacher." "A teacher," she corrected, "with access to sensitive financial data. He recorded Everything, every transaction, every coded communication, every internal power. Struggle. The stranger beside me shook his head. He didn't just record things, he predicted things. He mapped out the organization's weak points. Elise nodded once. That notebook is the only blueprint of how to dismantle this syndicate. And someone killed him for it, the man inside the locked room added. But not who you think. Majesty. You're telling me his death was planned? It wasn't supposed to be fatal, she said. They wanted to scare him. Pressure him. Force him to hand over the notebook. But someone miscalculated. Miscalculated? I whispered. Yes, the man behind the locked door answered. They approached the wrong person. My mind spun. What does that mean? It means, Elise said, her gaze sharp, that the person who executed your husband's accident thought he was you. The knife slipped in my hand. What? I breathed. Your husband intervened, she continued. He protected you. He took the fall. Instead. My legs nearly buckled. My husband died. Because he was protecting me. Protecting me from them. From this. From everything currently unfolding in this cursed hallway. I wanted to scream. Cry. Destroy someone. But there was no time. Because at that moment, from inside the locked room, Madison screamed. Mom. Help. I lunged for the door. Elise grabbed my arm. The stranger tried to pull me back. No, they both yelled. But I tore away from them like a wild animal. I slammed my shoulder into the locked door. Once. Twice. A third time, hard enough to crack the frame. The man inside started panicking. Stop. You'll ruin everything. I didn't stop. Because Madison screamed again, raw, terrified, pleading. On the fourth hit, the lock snapped. The door swung open. And inside. I froze. Madison wasn't alone. She was tied to a chair. But another figure stood behind her. Someone I recognized. Someone I had buried. Someone who should not have been alive. My husband. Standing there. Breathing. Watching me. Alive. And with a shaking voice, he said. Don't come any closer. They'll kill her. My body stopped. My breath stopped. The entire world stopped. My husband, the man whose funeral I attended. The man whose hands I held in a coffin. The man whose absence had carved a hole in my chest. Was standing in front of me. Alive. Breathing. Eyes shaking with regret, fear, and something worse. Recognition. Don't come any closer, he repeated, voice trembling. They'll kill her. Please, stay back. Madison sobbed behind him, tied to a chair, tape half torn from her mouth. Mom, don't listen to him. I stumbled forward, disbelief crushing my lungs. How is this possible? I whispered. You're dead. I saw you. I buried you. He looked down, as if ashamed to be alive. They needed you to believe that, he said softly. For your safety. For Madison's. For the notebook. The cursed notebook again. Always the notebook. Behind me, Elise stepped into the doorway like a shadow. So it's true, she said flatly. They kept you alive. He didn't look at her. He didn't look at the stranger either. He looked only at me. I didn't want this, he said. I never wanted this to reach you. Reach me? I snapped. It swallowed me whole. Our daughter is tied to a chair. What have you done? His eyes filled with tears. It was the only way to protect you. Madison screamed through her gag, Mom, don't trust him. That ripped something inside me. I took a step back, just one. Enough for clarity to slip through the shock. Explain, I demanded, voice sharp as broken glass. All of it. Now. His shoulders collapsed. As soon as I realized they were targeting you, for the notebook, I intervened. I made a deal. What kind of deal? I asked. A fake death. Witness protection. A staged heart attack. They promised to keep you safe if I cooperated. Elise scoffed. That wasn't us. That was Carlson's faction. My husband nodded grimly. I know. And I trusted the wrong people. Because the moment I vanished, Carlson went after Madison instead. Madison cried harder. You left me, she choked. You abandoned us. He flinched as if struck. I was watching, he whispered. Always watching. I never stopped protecting you. From across the world, she spat. While Jason stole my savings? While Veronica betrayed me? While that man upstairs took me hostage? Her voice broke into sobs. And now you show up alive, expecting us to what? Thank you? His face collapsed. No, he whispered. I expected you to hate me. I trembled. You let me grieve you. You let me bury you. You let me break. I had no choice, he said. I raised the knife, not at him, but at the space between us. You had a choice. You just didn't choose us. Behind me, the stranger tensed. Elise watched with calculating eyes, waiting for the perfect moment to move. And the man inside the locked room, the one who wasn't my husband, laughed softly. Because suddenly I understood. My husband wasn't the mastermind. He wasn't the enemy. He was another pawn. Just like Jason. Just like Veronica. Just like Madison. Controlled. Used. Manipulated. And the real enemy, the man whose voice had commanded everything from the shadows, stood calmly in the corner of the room. I hadn't seen him at first. He stepped forward now. Tall. Immaculately dressed. A predator in a suit. He smiled at me. Mrs. Walker. It's an honor to finally meet you. My husband immediately stiffened. Don't speak to her, he warned. Madison screamed again, Mom, run. The man ignored them both. I am RC, he said quietly. The man your husband worked for. The man he ran from. The man who owns everything you think you understand. My throat constricted. Richard Carlson, I whispered. His smile widened. You've caused me quite a lot of trouble. The stranger behind me swore under his breath. Elise stepped into defensive stance. Richard continued calmly. I wanted the notebook. Your husband refused. Then he disappeared. Imagine my surprise when you started poking around. I didn't poke, I said. You endangered my daughter. You dragged us into your hell. Yes, he said. Because Madison saw something she shouldn't have. He pulled a folder from the table. Inside. Photos. Documents. Signatures. My husband's death records. Fake signatures. Surveillance images of me. Transaction codes. Everything. Madison screamed again. My husband clenched his fists in helpless rage. And Richard leaned closer. I don't need the notebook anymore, he murmured. I have something better. He pointed at me. You. Before I could react, two more men stepped from the shadows behind him. Armed. Silent. Unblinking. Richard smiled. Come quietly, Mrs. Walker. Or your daughter dies. My heart ripped in half. My husband whispered urgently, don't. Don't give him what he wants. Madison screamed, "Mom," and oh. Richard lifted a gun to her head. Choose. And in that moment, with my daughter's life hanging on a trigger, I realized there was only one move left. That Richard Carlson would never see coming. Richard Carlson held the gun against Madison's temple with a calmness that made him monstrous. Not shaking. Not sweating. Not rushed. This wasn't a man threatening a hostage. This was a man closing a deal. Your daughter, Richard said softly, has 5 seconds left unless you cooperate. 1, 2. Stop. I shouted. Madison sobbed. My husband's breath hitched sharply. Richard smiled. He knew he'd won. But something inside me clicked. A switch. A memory. My husband's notebook. He wasn't trying to protect himself. He wasn't trying to hide from the syndicate. He wasn't even trying to hide the information. He was hiding the key to destroying Richard. And he hid it with me. Because he trusted only one person in the world more than he feared Richard Carlson. Me. I lifted my chin. Fine, I said. I'll cooperate. Richard lowered the gun a little. Not enough to be safe, but enough to breathe. My husband whispered sharply, "Don't do this. He'll kill you." Maybe, I said. But he won't kill Madison if he still needs me. Richard smiled politely. Smart woman. He stepped forward, reaching out his free hand. The notebook. Give it to me. I stared at his hand. Tan skin. Trimmed nails. A small scar shaped like a crescent near his thumb. A scar I recognized. A scar I had seen before. Years ago. Not on Richard. On a man who once visited my husband. A man my husband told me to forget. A man my husband argued with behind closed doors. A man who said, "You're in too deep. Get out while you can." My stomach twisted. Because the scar was identical. And the way Richard spoke. Like he'd known me longer than today. Like he'd studied me. Like he'd prepared for me. I looked at my husband. Who is he? I whispered. My husband's face collapsed. He's not Richard Carlson. The room went silent. The stranger behind me cursed under his breath. Elisa's expression snapped sharp. Madison froze. Then who? I began. The man smiled. And something shifted. His posture softened. His voice darkened. His mask dropped. Richard Carlson, he said calmly, was eliminated months ago. My breath stopped. He was a liability, the man continued. He outgrew his purpose. I stepped into his identity. Took control. Strengthened the organization. He leaned closer. And now. I finished what he couldn't. He wasn't Richard. He was worse. He was the architect. The man behind the curtain. The one who orchestrated my husband's staged death. The one who targeted Madison. The one who controlled Jason, Veronica, Elise, everyone. He was the spider. The true RC. I stared at him. You're not getting the notebook, I whispered. Not today. Not ever. He lifted the gun again. Then Madison dies. The moment stretched thin. Frail. Ready to shatter. And then. The stranger beside me moved. Fast. A blur. He grabbed something from his jacket and tossed it onto the floor between us. A small device. Black. Metal. A flashing red light. My husband shouted, "Get down." The device detonated, not an explosion, but a blinding burst of white light and sound. A stun charge. The room erupted into chaos. RC staggered back, firing blindly. A bullet hit the wall inches from Madison's head. My husband lunged forward and shielded her with his body. Elise tackled one of RC's guards. The stranger slammed into the second. I dove toward Madison, ripping the bindings from her wrists. "Mom," she sobbed. "Run!" I shouted. We scrambled toward the hallway. But RC recovered fast. Too fast. He aimed the gun directly at me. "That notebook is mine." He fired. The bullet flew. And my husband stepped in front of me. The sound cracked through the room. He stumbled. Fell to his knees. Collapsed into my arms. "No, no, no," I cried, catching him before he hit the floor. His breathing rattled. Weak. Shallow. He cupped my cheek. "I'm sorry," he whispered. I tried to keep you out." "Stay with me," I begged. His eyes softened. "Take the notebook. End this. Protect her." His gaze flicked to Madison. "Both of you." And then he was gone. For real this time. RC lifted the gun again, fury twisting his face. But the stranger, my unexpected ally, tackled him from behind, slamming him into the shattered table. Elise snapped cuffs on him with brutal precision. "He's done," she said coldly. "Your husband's work ends here." Madison collapsed into my arms, sobbing. I held her tight. The sirens wailed in the distance. Elise had called them mid-fight. The nightmare was finally unwinding. 2 weeks later. The real RC was behind bars. The syndicate collapsed. Elise testified and entered protection. The stranger vanished without a trace. The notebook? I delivered it to federal investigators myself. Madison and I visited my husband's real grave, this time with truth instead of lies. He saved us. He saved her. And he left me the weapon that destroyed an empire. As we placed flowers on the grave, Madison squeezed my hand. "Is it over?" she whispered. I looked out at the quiet cemetery. And for the first time in years, I felt peace. "Yes," I said softly. "It's over."